brooding has continued these last 40 years, and I think I approach some resolution. That is the concern of the introduction that follows. But here I need to make a central observation on poetic thinking. In a seminal essay, Dramatic Monologue and the Overhearing of Lyric, 1985, Herbert F. Tucker finds a proper balance between the now archaic, new critical emphasis on all poetry as being essentially dramatic in nature and the now receding textualism of Franco-Heideggerianism. Renewed stress upon textuality as the basis for the Western written character is a beginning as important to the study of poetry now as it has been for over a century to the writing of dramatic monologues and to the modern tradition that can illuminate in both backward and forward direction. But textuality is only the beginning. That seems to me critical wisdom. Poetic thinking about poetry denies the elusiveness of character, shrugs off epistemology even as it does metaphysics, and brings together the figures that make up poetic tradition. Those tropes emerge from a matrix of complex relations, historical and psychic, linguistic and imagistic, that work together so as to manifest a raw power that is now difficult to locate elsewhere, whether in theology or in philosophy. I wish I could believe that the study of poetic thinking might alleviate the technological vicissitudes that multiply weekly. But of course, they cannot. Literature, however sublime, cannot heal. What it can do is raise the level of awareness. But is that not Shakespeare's greatest achievement? To make us more aware? You can argue that Homer, Virgil, Dante, Chaucer, Milton, Goethe, Wordsworth, Pushkin, Victor Hugo, and all the other major Western poets increase our awareness. Yet somehow Shakespeare differs in kind rather than just in degree. Cognitive power allied to the creation of personalities, and phrased inevitably, is Shakespeare's almost consistent hallmark. Perhaps Chaucer comes closest to him in that regard. But there is also an otherness to Shakespeare, difficult to describe or define. Call it the creation of presence, a being at hand, a secular equivalent of the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. I emphasize again, secular. Shakespeare had the artistic wisdom to evade the incarnation, which is impossibly large for literary representation. Divinity in Shakespeare harrows us throughout King Lear, where we are persuaded by all the positive characters for whom Lear is the emblem of fathership, royal authority, and the possibility of divine justice. But he fails as father, abdicates kingship, dies in total loss of his beloved Cordelia, and perhaps hallucinates a resurrection just as he departs. For many years I rebelled against Nietzsche's implication, pain being the more memorable than pleasure, that aesthetic delight is accomplished by realizing pain itself as the meaning. An involuntary memorizer from childhood on, that gave me the quandary of aesthetic eminence seeming to depend on the quality and quantity of pain, and not the release from suffering. I reread and teach King Lear and Othello every semester, and confront more pain in my response than I can accommodate. Poetic imagination at its limits in Dante and in Shakespeare performs like a burning lake or a horizon on fire. Is that trope, or is it something else? D.H. Lawrence said that the novel was the one bright book of life, but then extended the novel to Shakespeare and the Bible. One could add Homer, Lucretius, Virgil, Dante, Chaucer, Montaigne, and so many more. What is poetic awareness? Is it a warning cry that our chase had a beast in view? Are all quests meaningless? Does the seeker invariably discover that she is the subject and object of her own quest? William Blake excoriated the idiot questioner in his poem Milton, 1804–1810. To cast off the idiot questioner who is always questioning, but never capable of answering, who sits with a sly grin, silent plotting when to question like a thief in a cave, who publishes doubt and calls it knowledge, whose science is despair, whose pretense to knowledge is envy, whose whole science is to destroy the wisdom of ages to gratify ravenous envy, that rages round him like a wolf day and night without rest. He smiles with condescension, he talks of benevolence and virtue, and those who act with benevolence and virtue they murder time on time.